the world's second largest steel producer. Its steel sector is teeming with hundreds of steel companies. A big section of this is the firms that use the induction furnace method to produce their steel. This sector accounts for about 36% of India's total steel capacity of 135 million tons. Welcome to Steel Mint Events. I'm Ruchira Singh, and joining me today is a big panel of company heads that come from the induction furnace sector. Today, we take a close look at how they are managing their business and their markets in the backdrop of the coronavirus pandemic. Let me introduce the panelists to you. The first panelist is Mr. Avinash Bhandari. He is CEO Steel at Electrotherm India Limited, and he is joining us from Ahmedabad in Gujarat. His plant has a 0.7 million ton capacity, and the products are TMT bars and ductile pipes. The next panelist is Mr. Ghanshyam Goyal. He is director at Kalika Steel Alloys Private Limited, and he is joining us from Jalna in Maharashtra. His factory has a 0.42 million ton capacity for making rebars. Mr. Goyal is also the president of Jalna Steel Manufacturers Association. The next panelist is Mr. Sudhir Goyal. He's MD of Madhav Alloys Limited, and he's joining us from Mandi Gobindgarh in Punjab. His factory has a 0.42 million ton capacity for producing rebars, wire rods, and pipes, and also structurals. The next panelist is Mr. Kalpesh Agarwal. He is director at Prakash Ferris Industries Private Limited, and he's joining us from Chennai in Tamil Nadu. His factory has a 0.4 million ton capacity for producing TMT bars and structurals. The next panelist is Mr. Ramesh Agarwal. He is director of Real Ispat and Power Limited, and he's joining us from Raipur in Chhattisgarh. His factory is a 0.6 million ton it's an integrated steel mill, and it produces TMT bars and wire rods. The next panelist is Mr. Ashish Beriwala. He is director at SRMB Srijan Private Limited, and he is joining us from Kolkata in West Bengal. His plant has a 0.4 million ton capacity to produce TMT bars and steel sections. The next panelist is Mr. Y.K. Dalmia. He's MD of Suraj Products Limited, and he's joining us from Rourkela in Odisha. His plant produces sponge iron, pig iron, and TMT bars, and Mr. Dalmia is also the chairman of Odisha Sponge Iron Manufacturers Association. Welcome, gentlemen. I would also like to welcome the participants. There are hundreds of you out there. Thank you very much for registering, and I'd like to explain to you the proceedings of today's webinar. All of these companies sell finished products directly to government, and they have many semi-government projects as well where they supply their steel to. Now, I'd also like to thank all of the people who have registered for this webinar and like to welcome you all. We should be having about 500 participants today. Many more had registered. So from wherever you are, welcome very much. Welcome from the Steel Mint group to you. And I'd like to also tell how the proceedings will work today. So we have an initial round of questions and panel discussion, which should take about 45 minutes. So that will be moderated by myself, and each of the panelists will take questions from me. And after that, participants, it's going to be your turn to ask questions. So at the bottom of the screen, you'll have the Q&A box. So you can put in your questions there. But do remember to put in your company name as well and your full name so that we get to know you better and get to know from where you're connecting and from which sector. I will try to take as many questions as I can, but apologies in advance if I can't take them all. But do look out for the Q&A box. So that's how we proceed today. And I'm going to start off with the very first theme for the webinar. It is about each of the plants who are represented here today by their management. I'd like to know from each of the panelists the state of production at each of your plants. So we'd like to know at what capacity utilization you have at the plants, at what capacity you're functioning right now, and also how much inventories you have, and the markets. Where are you actually finding markets now that the lockdown is gradually happening? So I'd like to start with Mr. Avinash Bhandari first. So, Mr. Bhandari, do let us know, do tell us about what Electrotherm is doing at the plant, and how are you faring?
So while it may not make a lot of sense to talk about the plant capacity utilizations at this point in time, because I understand that the country plants across the country are operating at a fairly low capacity utilization. To talk about our own plant, we are operating at about 25-30% of our capacity. I think it is important to see how the capacity utilizations can increase going forward rather than what is happening today, because these state situations are changing very, very rapidly, and therefore it will be important to understand how things will move on from here. And I would like to make certain statements there, you know. So if the capacity utilization of a plant going forward will be a factor of the demand that we are going to see, and at this point in time, rather than looking at the aggregate demand, and as far as I am concerned, I'm only talking about TMT because that's the only product that we produce as far as steel is concerned. The other product is DI pipe and it is not steel, so I will restrict my comments to TMT only, right? So if we look at the aggregate demand for TMT coming up over the next few months or next few quarters, rather than looking at an aggregate demand, we should try and break this demand up into the three segments from where the demand is coming up and see how each of this segment is going to behave. So we need to look at closely at infrastructure segment. We need to closely look at the project segment, and we need to closely look at the housing and the real estate segment, right? Uh, now, why this is important? Because all three of them going forward are going to behave very differently given the kind of stimulus and the triggers available for each one of them. So demand coming from infrastructure might be very, very different from the demand which is coming from the real estate or the housing sector. If I talk about the infrastructure segment, then I believe that the focus of the government on infrastructure is real. The 103 lakh crore story of infrastructure is still very, very intact. The recent announcement by the Prime Minister talks about infrastructure being a very, very important leg, one of the important legs of the five things which are going to drive the economy. Even in the very recent announcements by the Finance Minister, 1 lakh crore has been provided for rural infrastructure, right? So and our discussions with the various national level authorities who are running these large infrastructure projects, somewhere is suggesting that they are very keen to start up. They are very keen to actually, in fact, they are very keen to speed up the projects, right? If you look at, let us say, railways, RDSO, or you look at MES, or if you look at power grid, national highways, expressways, metro, all these large project companies are raring to go. And therefore, I see that the demand for the infrastructure, demand from the infrastructure segment will kick in very, very fast, and substantial demand will kick in. If I talk about the project segment, the recent announcement of increasing the borrowing limits for the states will be a big trigger there. About 4.5 lakh crores of new borrowing will be made available to the states. And I assume that some of it will flow into the infrastructure, state level infrastructure. Also, the discussions with the state authorities is also conveying that, these state organizations, corporations, the R&D divisions are also raring to go and start their projects. If
Right.
I talk
And
about
let me
the how,
interrupt, Mr. Bhandari. So
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. If I can jump in, can you? So from whatever you're producing right now, is it all tied up to your buyers, or is there some difficulty finding the markets and the buyers at this point?
So right now the issue is that there is no demand. That's why, that's what I'm trying to say is the capacity utilization is going to be a factor of the demand. So unless we are clear about what is the demand, and the present the demand situation is very, very bleak. But going forward, how is the demand going to shape up? I think that's the question that I'm trying to address. And depending on which segment you are focused on, you could see a different rate of recovery in these three verticals, and therefore the demand could change.
Okay. And can I move on now to Mr. Ghanshyam Goyal? Mr. Ghanshyam Goyal, जालना में क्या हाल है? वहाँ पे भी ऐसा ही है जैसा कि मिस्टर भंडारी देख रहे हैं कि डिमांड इज ऑलमोस्ट वेरी ब्लीक, दैट इज द वर्ड ही सेइंग. तो महाराष्ट्र में भी मेडिकल इमरजेंसी सबसे अभी बुरे हालत में है. तो अभी इस समय आप क्या देख रहे हैं मार्केट में, और आपका प्रोडक्शन कैसा है इस समय?
अभी प्रोडक्शन तो हमारा 40% के करीब चल रहा है, उतना माल तो बिक जा रहा है हमारा. लेकिन बॉम्बे पूना में जो प्रॉब्लम है उसकी वजह से और डिमांड ज्यादा बढ़ेगी ऐसा अभी लग नहीं रहा है फिलहाल. तो अभी 1-2 महीने में प्रोडक्शन भी कम ही रहेगा, तो मैच होके चल सकती है ऐसा लगता है. जुलाई से फिर प्रोडक्शन बढ़ जाएंगे. जब तक ये अगर सुधर जाएगा तो डिमांड भी बढ़ जाएगी. आफ्टर ऑल गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर ज्यादा डिपेंड है. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर्स और रियल एस्टेट के बारे में गवर्नमेंट का क्या रहता है, कैसा कुछ मिलता है, उसके ऊपर सारी चीज डिपेंड रहेगी.
तो अभी इन्वेंट्री लेवल कैसा है और वो किस तरह से आप रखते हैं? वो क्या स्टोर करना पड़ता है आपको या उसके लिए भी खरीदार हैं?
नहीं, अभी इन्वेंट्री लेवल तो जितना नहीं है हमारा जालना में फिनिश, तो ऑलरेडी जितना प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है उतना करीब करीब बिक जाता है.
ठीक है. Moving on to Mr. Sudhir Goyal. So what are you seeing, Mr. Goyal, in your market? Punjab supposed to be a very big market for at least for construction. So how is your plant doing? Manufacturing इस समय चल रही है और किस कैपेसिटी पे, और खरीदार है या नहीं मार्केट में?
We have also the same scenario, Ruchira. We are also currently operating at about 30 to 35% of our capacity. And whenever we are operating, that much demand is there. And the same problem is there for the construction segment. Lots of troubles are there, like supply chain issues are there, not only for steel, for other materials like cement, for sand, for stone, and most important is the labor part. Much of the migrant labor has been shifted to their native places. So that is the biggest challenge in our area or the construction site. So the bigger sites don't have more than 25 to 30% labor. So they are able to operate at that much capacity. So we are having the same scenario, and as far as inventory is concerned, much inventories as about 5 to 50 days, then customers still whatever inventories were there, they have been disposed.
Right. So in Punjab, you are seeing some kind of production. 30 to 35% is the capacity utilization.
That's good.
पेश अग्रवाल, चेन्नई में क्या हाल है इस समय? आप प्रोड्यूस कितना कर पा रहे हैं और कितना सेल कर पा रहे हैं?
We are right now producing around 70% of capacity. Because here Scout the status is a little bit better. Infrastructure projects भी थोड़ा चल रहे हैं, but अभी जो labor का जो issue है, that is a major issue for next couple of months. We don't have much stock because material is moving, but labor issues has to be addressed. That's a major issue.
And you do find buyers for whatever you're producing.
Well, Abhi, whatever you have, see, there was no stock with the trade. See, basically, we supply 50% to traders and 50% to government agencies. So traders, they were not having stock. So now the stock has been replenished. As far as government agency is there, now it has to be seen from next month how it goes. And it also depends upon the labor availability in the sites. So it's very difficult to make any judgment unless until the labor migrant stops. It's all mixed. If the labor migrants stop, the construction project will start. Even if the government funding is there, the project will start. But if labor itself is not there, even the government funding comes, nothing is going to happen. So it's we are in a very sticky wicket.
I see. But still, at least some flicker of hope is there in your market. Kuch to demand hai aur capacity utilization.
Yes, South is relatively better because in Tamil Nadu, next year being election year, a lot of government projects are online. So we are seeing some better situations in Tamil Nadu. South is concerned.
Right. Right. Moving on to the next panelist, Mr. Ramesh Agarwal, please give us the status of production at your plant. How much are you able to produce, and how are the markets in your state in Chhattisgarh?
आप सभी को नमस्कार एंड आई मस्ट कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट स्टील मिंट जिन्होंने ये बहुत अच्छे टॉपिक पे ये वेबिनार हुआ है आज। और ये जो टॉपिक है इसमें जिन्होंने स्टील के कंसर्न के बारे में, यहाँ पे बेटर पोजीशन अमंग्स ऑल द अदर स्टेट्स। यहाँ पे पेंडेमिक का उतना असर भी अभी तक नहीं था, सिंस लास्ट 2 days मोर केसेस। और सेकेंडली रायपुर जो है बहुत बड़ा स्टील मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब के नाम से जाना जाता है और करीब 25% ऑफ स्टील छत्तीसगढ़ में बनता है टोटल इंडिया का। तो रायपुर और छत्तीसगढ़ का स्टील इंडस्ट्री में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पेंडेमिक का असर भी कम था और यहाँ पे लेबर एंड बाकी सब इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ठीक था, इसलिए यहाँ पे अभी प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी अराउंड 60% अभी प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी स्टार्ट हो चुकी है। देयर इज नो सच डिमांड इशू, ह्यूज डिमांड है अभी बिकॉज ऑफ कि पूरे इंडिया में हम देखें तो बहुत कम प्रोडक्शन है और डिमांड काफी है। लेकिन अभी कोई भी इन्वेंट्री कहीं किसी के पास यहाँ पे नहीं है। सभी फिनिश मटेरियल चाहे ईंट की बात करें या वायर रॉड की बात करें तो इसमें डिमांड अच्छी है फिलहाल, बट ऐसा लगता है कि ये बहुत शॉर्ट टर्म पीरियड के लिए होगा। जैसे जैसे प्रोडक्शन बढ़ता जाएगा तो उसके बाद फिर रिजल्ट्स कुछ और आएंगे। एक बड़ा कंसर्न जो अभी तक है, जो बाकी पैनलिस्ट ने भी कहा और वो सेम मैं भी शेयर करना चाहूंगा, कि एक लेबर का इशू बहुत बड़ा इशू है। जो लेबर अपने गांव जा रही है, वापस से अपने अपने स्टेट्स जा रही हैं, तो एक बड़ा इशू वो जरूर लेबर का है, जिस पर हमको बहुत बड़ा मतलब एक इशू है सभी इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए। सेकंड एक जो इशू है वो गवर्नमेंट का इसमें रोल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, अगर चाहे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हो या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हो। दोनों हम गवर्नमेंट के पास हालांकि उन्होंने बहुत अनाउंसमेंट काफी बड़ा उन्होंने पैकेज डिक्लेयर किया है 20 लाख करोड़ का, बट यदि हम वर्चुअली देखें तो शायद वर्चुअल डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट जो है शायद 3,20,000 करोड़ का है, या बाकी इनडायरेक्ट वे है वो कितना पैसा मार्केट में आ पाएगा और वो कितना एक्चुअली इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स में बात लगातार करते रहे हैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से बजट में कि 20 लाख करोड़ या 5 साल में 100 लाख करोड़ का, तब तक कि उसका प्रॉपर एग्जीक्यूशन नहीं होगा तब तक कि वो प्रॉपर डिमांड जनरेट नहीं हो पाएगी। और एट दिस पेंडेमिक मोमेंट जहां पे फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूट्स जीडीपी 0% जाने की बात कर रहे हैं, ऐसे समय में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स का प्रॉपर कंटिन्यूअस एग्जीक्यूशन इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द इंडस्ट्री एंड फॉर द जीडीपी ग्रोथ। एक पोजीशन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की यदि मैं बात करूं तो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने ऑलरेडी मिनिस्टर हैज अनाउंस्ड कट 30% बजट फॉर ईच ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट। तो 30% का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के में भी यदि कम होता है तो बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट इसका इंडस्ट्री पे जरूर आना है। दिस इज द सिचुएशन ऑफ छत्तीसगढ़।
Right. Okay, moving on to the next panelist, Mr. Y.K. Dalmia. Mr. Dalmia, I forgot to mention that he is the president of the Odisha Sponge Iron Manufacturers Association. So, yes, representing a lot of people here. So, please do give us a status report on your company, how much you're producing, and how it is being purchased, as well as about the whole state, about the other producers.
Namaskar. In Odisha, our state government has been very proactive, and the industry was the day lockdown was declared. However, the labor issue, migrant labor, and the fear among the labor has prevented almost 70-80% plants to close down. Now we have restarted production. production. My previous panelist has talked about not having any stock in the pipeline. Whatever people are producing is being sold. Almost 60-70% capacity utilization is there at the moment. I think this is going to be a long-term demand because practically all over the India, construction industry is based on migrant labor. And our like, you know, when we call off secondary shares, they mostly depend on rural and construction industry. Unless the labor is going to come back, we are going to have a demand restriction of at least 25 to 30%, which is huge. We may be looking at a ton. And smaller players are going to be affected substantially.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, please give us a status report about your state battered by the cyclone yesterday. But how are things there? How much are you producing? And are your buyers with you? Are there inventories? Please do let us know.
Yeah. Good evening, madam. Good evening, fellow delegates. I am so pleased that secondary has been removed from the seminar tag that you had. So this is one positive change in COVID era which I am seeing. Let me tell you, we have our plants both in Odisha and West Bengal. As Mr. Y.K. Dalmia was just mentioning to you, Odisha government has been proactive as far as we see in Odisha in allowing the continuous industries, the continuous operating industries to operate. So more or less our Odisha plant is now operating at peak capacity. In West Bengal, we are getting staggered permissions to operate. So we are able to operate on a staggered manner. So currently we are operating with 40% manpower and our capacity utilization is around 60-65%. In a way, we are also experiencing the same favorable demand situation as Mr. Ramesh Agarwal was pointing out. Currently, maybe due to the paucity of production and the lesser capacity utilization, so due to that, there is definite pull in the market. So we are also experiencing that pull here. So there is less of a sales pressure issue, I would say, at the moment. But this is, in my opinion, a temporary aberration. Going forward, as capacity utilizations would increase, and as Mr. Avinash Bhandari has rightly pointed out, that it would depend on the three sectors going forward. I believe the three sectors being retail, real estate, and infrastructure. Real estate, this pandemic has taught us a very interesting scenario, that is WFH, work from home. Now, how this work from home pans out, how much of this work from home continues with office organization, how much of an impact, in my personal opinion, it has in commercial space demand, how much of impact it has on the commercial real estate development going forward is something to be seen. Though I personally feel that middle income and lower income housing retail demand would continue to be good. This is my personal belief and going through some of the reports. Infrastructure, how much is government proactive on capital expenditure? As you know, a lot of spend is already done and is expected to continue on COVID relief measures. But how much is government proactive on spend on infra is something, that will go a long way in, continuing this momentum forward. Retail again will be an interplay of how we come out of this COVID era. How much are we able to lessen the brunt, lessen the impact of it, and if this impact can be controlled in the coming months, I believe that still we can manage with some respectable growth.
Right. So all in all, if we take the picture view, things seem to be fine in south of India and east of India. You're reporting a bit Maharashtra, Gujarat, maybe struggling a bit north, fairly okay. So all in all, production capacity utilization is ranging between 25% to 70%, which should be a really good level. And I'd like to draw your attention to this slide which shows all of the presence of the induction furnace units. The total capacity very, very strong in east of India. Majority of the units are based there. and then and equally fairly equally distributed in north, west, and south, and totaling up to 48.9 million tons. So that makes it about 35 to 36% of India's total steel production capacity of 135 million tons. Right, gentlemen, we move on to the next theme, which is the prices. And I would like to just randomly pose this question at any one of you. So we just want to know, that is the other key issue now. So can we go to Maharashtra, Mr. Ghanshyam Goyal? भाव कैसे हैं मार्केट में इस समय? खरीदने वाले हैं, कितने लेवल पे खरीद रहे हैं और आप कैसे मैनेज कर रहे हैं?
प्राइसेस अभी पेंडेमिक से पहले जो थे उससे बढ़े हुए हैं हमारे यहाँ तो।
पैंडेमिक के पहले से कुछ एग्जांपल देंगे हमें, जैसे कि आप जो सबसे आपका जो प्राइम प्रोडक्ट है शायद टीएमटी बार है, रीबार्स हैं, तो इसमें कुछ उदाहरण दे सकते हैं किस लेवल से आज का भाव है और पैंडेमिक के पहले क्या लेवल था और एक साल पहले कितना था?
अभी फिलहाल तो 36 रुपीस है हमारे यहाँ टीएमटी बार्स, 36,000
पर टन मिल गेट प्राइस।
हाँ, एक्स मिल
और ये आज का है। और लेट्स से फरवरी महीने में जो पैंडेमिक के पहले का समय था, उस समय क्या था? 34,500। तो भाव एक्चुअली बढ़ गए। अच्छा, मूविंग टू पंजाब, are you Mr. Sudhir Goyal, are you also seeing this kind of rise in prices of TMT bars?
Yes, we have
Pre-pandemic to post-pandemic.
Yes, of course, we have also seen a rise of around 1,000 to 1,500 in the prices, overall prices of raw materials as well as finished goods.
Okay, and the buyers are happy to take this price?
Buyers are there. I have already told that buyers are there, but for that much quantity only.
I see. So whatever is being sold off, are the goods moving out? Given the labor shortage, are...
Sorry, I didn't got your question.
I'm saying whatever you're selling right now is, are the goods moving to your buyers? Okay, I just wish to know if people are able to take their supplies, or is it still lying at your mill gate?
Whatever is being sold, that is being supplied.
I see. Okay, and what about Tamil Nadu, Mr. Kalpesh Agarwal? Prices of TMT bars there, have they also risen compared to the pre-pandemic levels? You need to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes. So we're talking about the prices, and we'd like to know at what level the TMT bars are selling right now. What are you quoting?
Yeah.
And also comparison with a few months ago.
Currently, our purchase selling price is 37,000 X mil, and before pandemic it was 35,500.
So approximately, say in the month of February, it was 35,500.
Now it is 37,000.
I see. So that is quite a rise actually, and it is fairly uniform across 3 states. And what about West Bengal? What are you seeing, Mr. Periwala? Are you seeing a similar rise in the...
Yeah, more or less similar. Around 1,500 to 2,000 is the rise from pre-pandemic levels. This around 3rd week of March till now. And as I mentioned, that current situation does not reflect the true picture, in my personal opinion, in the market, because there is paucity of production. And also, I would say that demand is not at the normal level. So due to the less production and less demand, this does not reflect a true picture of the market.
Right, right. Mr. Ramesh Agarwal?
Another thing that I should have. Sorry, I am taking 2 more minutes from my
No
fellow
problem.
panelists. Another thing that I should have mentioned while speaking about the demand for our sector going forward. Well, when I congratulated you from removing this secondary stigma for the benefit of our delegates here, it is pertinent for our sector to be given equal footing. As you have rightly pointed out that we are manufacturing almost 48.9 million ton, which is 35% of Indian steel demand. And if you go only purely by long products, which is our primary product, TMT bars, wire rods or structural sections, we are most probably manufacturing almost 55 to 60% of India's long product production and employing even at a greater percentage, which is almost around 65% plus. This important a sector, being, called a secondary sector or not given preference on an equal footing. In India now there is a promulgation of steel quality control orders. So be it a 10 million ton plant or a million plant or a 500,000 ton plant or a 0.1 million ton plant, all are supposed to manufacture as per a standard BIS grade, and it is mandated by law. So that does not depend on what capacity you have, does not depend on what manufacturing process you have. All are supposed to manufacture as per a standard quality which is mandated by law in India. So going forward, in my personal opinion, all the concerned state and central government departments to provide an equal footing would also be key for our sector. So just wanted to add that.
Right, right. Okay, moving on to Mr. Ramesh Agarwal. Please let us know about the prices. Are you seeing the same trend? Everybody is reporting a hike in prices from pre-pandemic levels. What are you seeing?
मैडम ये सब अलग अलग पैनलिस्ट से ये क्वेश्चन एक्चुअली आजकल पूरे इंडिया या ग्लोबल जो है सब एक साथ ही प्लस या माइनस होता है. कभी भी ये नहीं होगा कि आपको एक स्टेट में मार्केट नीचे जा रहा है या दूसरे स्टेट में अपवर्ड्स में है, ये कभी होगा नहीं. तो अभी आफ्टर पैंडेमिक, मतलब आफ्टर पैंडेमिक जैसे सबने बताया वैसी सेम छत्तीसगढ़ में भी यहाँ पे करीब 7% के आसपास का प्राइस इंक्रीज हुआ है. बिकॉज ऑफ कि ओवरऑल इंडिया का जो प्रोडक्शन लेवल है, जैसे मैंने पहले भी कहा था कि वो काफी कम है, सिर्फ 30-40% लेवल पे है, जबकि डिमांड काफी ज्यादा है. बट अभी ऐसा लगता है कि ये बबल जैसा है. जैसे जैसे नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 मंथ्स के अंदर जब ये प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी अपने फुल लेवल पे आएगी और गवर्नमेंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर या रियल सेक्टर उतना बूम नहीं कर पाएगा, तब जो है ये प्राइसेस पे काफी ज्यादा डाउनवर्ड की स्थिति बननी चाहिए, ऐसा लगता है. एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर इसमें ये है कि जैसे मैंने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे बहुत इंफेसिस दिया था, वैसे सेकंड जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्टर है रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर है. रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर में गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से यदि जो पॉलिसीज हैं अभी पैकेज में, एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पैकेज ये होना चाहिए कि इंटरेस्ट रेट जो है वो थोड़ा लोअर कर दे. यदि बैंक आरबीआई के इसमें इनपुट करते हुए यदि इंटरेस्ट रेट लोअर कर दे तो रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर में जो डिमांड एक जनरेट होगी तो उससे पूरा का पूरा एक इंडस्ट्री सेक्टर जो है वो बूस्टअप होगा. नॉट ओनली स्टील बल्कि सीमेंट है या बाकी सब जो रियल एस्टेट से जुड़ी हुई तमाम बाकी सब जो इंडस्ट्रीज हैं वो उसको भी बहुत बड़ा एक बूस्ट मिलेगा.
मिस्टर अविनाश भंडारी, डू यू ऑल्सो बिलीव दैट ये प्राइसेस जो है ये बबल है, थोड़ा फ्रॉथी है मार्केट, और जैसे जैसे लॉकडाउन धीरे धीरे और ईज होगा और प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटीज बढ़ाए जाएंगे तो फोरकास्ट, आप अपना फोरकास्ट बता सकते हैं फॉर ऑल ऑफ FY21 एंड यू नीड टू अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ मिस्टर भंडारी.
Sorry, so my view is a little different. I believe that the prices will remain at this level, almost at this level, and with an upward bias. They will not fall. They will actually, in fact, it can move up a little bit, maybe 500 rupees, maybe 1,000 rupees from here on, as demand picks up and as production also picks up. As Berivelji rightly said, right now it's a flux situation. There is no demand on one side and there is no production on the other side, and on the next 2-3 months demand will pick up, production will pick up. What will happen, but my understanding is that the prices are going to be supported by the international prices. And if you look at the China situation, the China capacity utilization of the plant on a very large scale, almost 800 million ton capacity, has almost gone back to the pre-COVID period. right? If you look at the iron ore prices, they are at a 7-month high. If you look at the international prices for TMT or billets, they are fairly high. And all this, therefore, is going to provide some bottom support to the prices in India. And if the prices in India fall, there will be an opportunity to export. And we have heard in other seminars from other larger players that there is good amount of export happening. And therefore, I believe that these prices will become the bottom for the domestic market, and the prices can therefore remain stable at these levels.
So I'm basically looking at the forecast for FY21 for price for both TMT bars as well as wire rods, because these are the two primary products that are produced. So can any one of you give me a forecast for these two products, something which will be the average price for FY21?
Ma'am, my take, yeah, Mr. Goel, I think he wants to say.
I believe that, Ruchira, the prices, whatever prices were prevailing before COVID era, the prices for full financial year, I believe that it should be minus 5%, not beyond that. It should move in that range only.
It should be plus or minus 5% from current levels?
From the pre-COVID
era. Right. Okay, gentlemen, we will move on to the next theme, which is the constraints that all of you are working under. Several, and I think the biggest one is the labor issues. So can any of you tell me about how bad the situation is about the labor? I think Mr. Sudhir Goel said that about 35% of labor is there in Punjab. So how about the rest of you? Are you seeing this kind of labor, from all of people who used to work to lift your materials? Is 35% of those, that workforce still with you? So any of you?
We are experiencing some labor shortage issues also, but being in Eastern India, labor availability situation here is still better than probably North India and West India. There is still some labor issue, and we are to
40% लेबर इश्यूज हैं, 50 to 60% लेबर अवेलेबल हैं, और मुझे लगता है कि इसके नॉर्मल होने में एटलीस्ट 3 months का टाइम लगना चाहिए.
3 months का टाइम लगेगा. ठीक है, ओके. तो और दूसरे कंस्ट्रेंट्स के बारे में बात करते हैं. एक तो आपका पावर कॉस्ट काफी हाई रहता है. पावर बिल्स आर सपोज्ड टू बी वेरी वेरी हाई, वन ऑफ द हाईएस्ट इन द इंडस्ट्री. तो इसके बारे में मुझे आप बता सकते हैं कि हर एक स्टेट में कोई सब्सिडी की मांग है, अभी बिल कितना आता है, मिनिमम पावर प्राइस आपको हमेशा देना पड़ता है इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ व्हाट यू आर प्रोड्यूसिंग. तो इस सिचुएशन को आप कैसे हैंडल कर रहे हैं, और किसी सब्सिडी की डिमांड है या मिलने की उम्मीद है? स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम मे बी मिस्टर बेरीवाला.
See, I think first of all, in this situation of pandemic, where without left with no choice, and for the common safety of all concerned, most of the industries had been shut down. So there is a request which is still pending to the electricity departments and the government to consider waiver of minimum demand charge for at least next 3 months till the normalization of operation. So that request is still pending before the government. We have also requested for rationalization of electricity duties. So electricity duty in Odisha is one of the highest in India at the moment. So to top it all, that electricity duty does not get set off against your GST payables. So it is like an extra tax upon GST which we need to pay, and it is almost around 55 paise in Odisha, which on a per ton of finished product, if you say up to TM, it would be almost around 600 to 700 rupees per ton. So these are the two major issues which have been raised to the best of my knowledge till now. There were some subsidy in electricity to the tune of some rupee per unit or something, which was long time back, but to the best of my knowledge, it is not continuing now.
I see. I'm running a little bit short of time, but is there any one of you who have asked for a subsidy in your state and are likely to get it?
Yes. We didn't get actually here in Chhattisgarh, and बीइंग ए बिग मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब, यहाँ पे लगातार सभी इंडस्ट्रीज की तरफ से चीफ मिनिस्टर से मिलके या लेटर के साथ उनको रिक्वेस्ट पेंडिंग है, और अभी तक इस पे कोई भी वो नहीं हो पाया, जिसके कारण यहाँ पे बहुत सारी फर्नेस ने अभी तक प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट भी नहीं कर पाए हैं। बीइंग इस लास्ट तक ये मिनिमम डिमांड चार्जेस की बात जैसे अब वेरीवाल जी ने भी कही है, वही सेम डिमांड जो है छत्तीसगढ़ में भी हर इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट का यह है कि मिनिमम डिमांड चार्जेस बिल्कुल पर्टिकुलर फॉर 3 मंथ्स के लिए नहीं लगना चाहिए। और नंबर 2, जो सब्सिडी लास्ट ईयर तक के जो मिलती थी मिनिस्ट्री प्लान्स को, वो सब्सिडी इस साल भी कंटिन्यू होना चाहिए। ये दोनों रिक्वेस्ट गवर्नमेंट के पास पेंडिंग है, और जिसका पॉजिटिव होने का एक्सपेक्टेड है कि, but still we didn't get anything.
Right. And what about Gujarat? What are you
So
saying?
Gujarat,
Mr. Bhandari?
so Gujarat government has already waived off the MD charges for the month of April, while the various industry associations have demanded for extending it by maybe 3 months and 6 months. Different associations have asked for different extension of the MD waiver.
I see. So that is fairly good. The state acted very fast. Is there any other state which acted as fast?
What we have asked in Odisha is not waiver. We have asked that minimum demand charge should be based on actual demand instead of contract demand. To be fair, because people who have been running industry, they must pay. The people who are not running their industry. And second, what we have asked the government. Am I audible?
Yes, Mr. Agarwal, Mr. Kalpesh Agarwal, yes.
Yes, ma'am. In Tamil Nadu, we have asked for a waiver of demand charges, and Tamil Nadu Electricity Regulatory Authority has given it, but it's pending with the board. So it just, but I don't think is anything. We will not be getting any subsidy. Probably
Right.
we might get a waiver of demand for lockdown period.
I see. And what about Punjab? What has the government done there for its producers?
Same is here in Punjab. Government hasn't exempted any fixed charge, and the industry is demanding for the exemption of fixed charge. Rather, our state regulatory has invited some oppositions and suggestions regarding the subject. Rather, I would say that the government have some lenient view on this. As demand is unpredictable. For coming 6-7 months, we don't know what kind of demand will be there and what kind of level of industry will be there. So government must have some lenient view about this, because we are paying wages, salaries, every kind of interest cost is there, every kind of fixed cost is there. So government must have some lenient view.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. I'll move on to the next theme. The next theme is about the raw materials availability. So let me start from Odisha. If we can get some report about how much of iron ore is available. So
Am I
Mr.
audible?
Dalmia, yes, Mr. Dalmia, please let us know about availability of iron ore in your state.
Presently, iron ore is available plentifully, because the mines be closed or the leases are over. They have to clear their stock in another 3 or 4 months' time. Practically for 2 months, there was no lifting from mines. But we see bad days ahead, because the mines which have been auctioned very high prices cannot sustain. I doubt they will be starting operations. In that case, we are looking at a shortage of about 20 to 22 million tons of CLO or sized ore, which is primarily good of Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and West Bengal.
Right.
Iron ore auction has gone at 140-150% premium.
Okay.
I believe this is like a Ponzi scheme where you just promise that you are going to pay more and more.
Right.
Iron ore situation is going to be extremely bad.
So iron ore availability issue that is being flagged. Mr. Beriwala, what do you think? Will this lead to higher prices of this raw material?
I could not agree more than what Dalmia ji has said. He has very rightly put the situation. Currently, as he has rightly pointed out, that currently there is availability of iron ore, though I would say the pricing is still not rationalized in line with the finished price movements. But nevertheless, it is available at the moment. But my take on this is that iron ore, coal being the critical raw material for the industry, though with the mining auction, government had the best of intention of probably, making the mines available more to captive industry. But government has to ensure that these best of intentions translate into the best of executions. The problem is that today most of the big merchant mines operating in Eastern India have turned from merchant to captive. Going forward 4 months, 6 months down the line, with this kind of production going out of the market, you cannot suddenly have a big merchant mine opening up and kind of making up for that capacity. Though some demand of these plants which have gone captive would be met out, but still the scenario of iron ore availability looking ahead is a tough situation for the industry, which may lead to shortages and upward pressure on prices.
Right. So I'd like to, yes, sorry to butt in. I'm running out of time, so I'm just rushing it a bit. So would that mean, let's say in a state like Tamil Nadu, which is far off from this source, so would that mean higher prices for you, Mr. Kalpesh Agarwal? Are you prepared for this scenario?
Tamil Nadu basically is more of local and imported scrap base. So we consume 80% scrap and 20% sponge iron. And right now, what we are facing is, since the local industries, automotive sector is down, we are expecting a lesser generation of scrap from that sector. And also, certain countries like Dubai and Russia, they have banned export of scrap. So that will also have an effect in coming months. So as Sir has rightly told, this is an issue with regard to iron ore, and even in scrap we have an issue. So that might push up the prices of steel.
I see. So scrap availability, Mr. Ghanshyam Goyal, scrap availability. जालना में scrap कहाँ से आ रहा है इस समय? और आगे कोई issue है इसके लिए?
कल्पेश जी ने जैसा बोला कि अभी तो फिलहाल हमारे पास स्क्रैप अवेलेबल है जो पाइपलाइन में था, इंपोर्ट से वो आया हुआ है। आगे जैसे दुबई ने बैन किया है तो आगे इस इश्यू आ सकते हैं।
पाइपलाइन में स्क्रैप अवेलेबल है और तो इस समय कुछ
आगे शॉर्टेज आ सकती है,
आगे शॉर्टेज आ सकती है।
करीब दुबई से आता है तो वो उन्होंने बैन किया है।
Mr. Sudhir Goyal, scrap shortage. You depend on scrap and you also depend on sponge iron. So will that be a concern for you in Punjab if scrap is not available? You're far away from also, the sources of import.
Yes, definitely. I also feel the same, that supply chain issues will be there as local scrap generation has not been started. So locals, when we don't know when it will be started, because the bigger areas where scrap generation is there are the containment areas. So from those areas, the scrap generation is zero today, probably zero. So whenever those areas open, we don't know. So
I see. So please give us a forecast on scrap prices if you can, or at least a range at which the prices of scrap are likely to be in the months ahead. Mr. Sudhir Goyal.
It's very tough to say that as we have seen in last 1 month, we also know that import international steel prices had gone down to, HMS prices had gone down to around $220 or $230. Today again we are saying it as $250 and $50. It is at maybe $200.
Right.
So right now the scene is little messy, I feel.
Okay. I see. Okay, and I'll move to Mr. Ramesh Agarwal. Could you very briefly and very quickly just give us a range, a forecast for iron ore prices, say in this FY21? Where do you see iron ore prices going with everyone forecasting availability issue?
Basic raw material is the iron ore coal. because there is no scrap used in this dirt because of the location.
No, I'm asking about a forecast for iron ore prices.
आयरन ore की रेट का मिस्टर इन्होंने गोयल ने जो बोला था कि आगे एक बड़ा बैड डेज दिखते हैं क्योंकि उन्होंने जो आयरन और जो ब्लॉक ऑक्शन हुआ है जो 135%, 144%, 140%, 130% प्रीमियम में गया हुआ है, तो उसके कारण जो फोर्सी लगता है वो बड़ा ऐसा लगता है कि आयरन और प्राइसेस बढ़ेंगे, कोल की अवेलेबिलिटी बड़ा इजी
कोई
रहेगी।
रेंज दे सकते हैं कितने में कितना बढ़ सकता है अभी करंट लेवल से परसेंट टर्म्स में?
वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू से एनीथिंग अबाउट द रेंज, बट वो 2-3 महीने के बाद की पोजीशन में आयरन और की अवेलेबिलिटी टफ रहेगी या रेट्स में उसमें इशू रहेंगे।
5-10% सिंगल डिजिट राइज देख सकते हैं या डबल डिजिट कुछ?
It is very difficult to say, but
Anybody?
Can
Anybody
go
else?
double digit up.
Madam, I would just pitch in. See, the maths is very simple. If the mines are going to have to pay 125%, 150% as the acquisition cost, so the iron ore prices going up by how much percent is anybody's guess. So it may even double. It may go up by 50%. It can be anybody's guess.
So that's rather alarming if you see prices going up by 50%. So we look out for that.
And I do not see supply demand side absorbing that cost increase. It's not possible for consumers to absorb that side of the cost.
Right. I'll move to Mr. Avinash Bhandari. You import some consignment sometimes. So what are you seeing in the foreign markets for iron ore?
So right now, the as I said earlier, the iron ore prices are going up. They are at it's almost a 7-month high level right now. Almost unviable to import at this stage, but Gujarat has good availability of pellets. So I don't see a major raw material issue for plants in Gujarat who are using iron ore or pellets as the raw material.
Any forecast for pellet prices for FY21?
Very difficult to say.
Will it rise on the back of iron ore? Like some people
Yes.
says 50%. Yes. So it can be a similar rise for pellets also.
No, the prices, obviously the increase will be about 5 to 10%, but whatever I think the 50% calculation is for the acquisition cost, not the pellet cost.
Right. And what is the import scenario for iron ore? Do you think it can keep coming?
It's pretty expensive right now, so unviable.
Unviable. And that also has a similar forecast like India. It might go up. Will there be availability?
Yes, the Chinese demand is pretty strong, and the iron ore prices are expected to remain firm.
Right. Okay. I'll quickly throw in one more question. A couple of you export your products. I think Mr. Beriwala, you try out your exports with Nepal, and Mr. Ramesh Agarwal, you also dabble in exports a bit. So a lot of the steel companies, the large companies, are saying that export is the way forward. Government is thrusting. Government has this thrust on make more in India and sell overseas. So do you think this could be a good route for the induction-based furnaces and for others? Small, medium enterprises. What's your experience?
We have exported actually wire rods, lots of wire rods to Ireland and other countries, but at this moment there is no possibility to export to wire rod. Definitely, but semis में अभी export अच्छा हो रहा है. Billets and iron ore and pellets, इसका Chinese demand is very very high. तो जो अविनाश भंडारी जी ने जो कहा, that is very.
तो आप क्या रेकमेंड करेंगे? आपके जैसे जो और कंपनीज हैं वो ट्राई करना चाहिए उनको एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट में कुछ कंसाइनमेंट्स भेजने की? शुड दे टेस्ट द ट्राई आउट?
डजंट मैटर एनीथिंग कि हम करें या कोई भी करे, एक्सपोर्ट भी से भी कोई भी क्वांटिटी होगी उसका इंपैक्ट सबके पास आएगा। ओवरऑल इंडियन मार्केट में उसका इंपैक्ट है।
मतलब मैं समझी नहीं, अगर आप एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं तो इंडियन मार्केट के लिए कम हो जाएगा?
एक्सपोर्ट यदि होता है तो इंडियन मार्केट which is good for industry कि उसमें रेट जो हैं वो इंक्रीज होते हैं।
Madam, what Mr. Agarwal is trying to explain in a way, if I understand correctly, is that if any part of the industry starts exporting, so that increases the market for the industry as a whole also.
Yes.
Right. So what is your experience in Nepal? Are they currently buying your customers there? And can you expand, go beyond Nepal to Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand?
No, not at all.
Why not?
अभी उनकी इंडस्ट्रीज वहां पे पूरी फुल्ली चालू भी नहीं हुई है और वहां पे कोई अभी रेट की वायबिलिटी अभी नहीं है। बात से 1 साल पहले थी, वो अभी बिल्कुल भी नहीं है रेट।
और चाइना क्यों नहीं खरीद सकता? आपके स्टील्स मोस्टली स्ट्रक्चरल्स हैं, तो वहाँ पे बड़े बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स के बारे में बात हो रही है कि बहुत सारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स अनाउंस हुए हैं, इसीलिए खरीद रहे हैं वो और इन्वेंट्री बना रहे हैं। तो
अविनाश जी ने बताया है कि चाइना से काफी अभी वहां पे काफी डिमांड है और चाइना मार्केट में अभी आयरन ओर की पर्टिकुलर पैलेट्स की और सेमीज की बिलेट्स में इनकी डिमांड्स काफी है, जो एक्सपोर्ट इंडिया से काफी हो रहा है।
इंडक्शन बेस्ड फर्नेसेस कर सकते हैं या नहीं?
जी जी, we are also seeing some exports happening from Gujarat for billets.
Yes,
Right.
not finished material.
Right. Okay. So now the last section I have is for expansion, and very quickly, if you can speak about your expansion plans. Which one of you are still holding on to your expansion plans, and will go ahead with it? Expansion plans for your units. Are you
Not very
making a
much
change in
interested
it?
in for the coming 2020.
We have taken up some debottlenecking projects in our current plant, but not major expansion. The plans, we would like to watch for some time before taking it up.
I see. And then
So
I have a
Ruchira ji,
question.
I think the point number 5 mentioned here is not expansion, it is future plans.
Well, everyone wants to expand, so I
Yeah,
thought
so if I can
future.
add to that, you know, the future is not necessarily about expansions. It is also
Yes.
sometimes about technological upgradations to meet the new and emerging demand.
Yes, I was actually coming to that, Mr. Bhandari.
Yeah, so I say that
Especially-
the demand is now shifting from grades like 500 to grades like 500D and 550D. And the demand for 550D, 550D, 500D, 550D is growing. And I believe that it will continue to grow over the next 10 years. Also, as I said earlier, the demand from infrastructure segment is growing and will continue to grow over the next 10 years. I expect that additional 25 million tons of demand will get added from the infrastructure segment.
Right.
And, you know, very few of us, you know, if you talk about 1200, you talked about 1200 units induction based. Very few of us actually cater to the infrastructure segment. And the infrastructure demand of presently whatever 10, 15, 20 million tons is primarily being catered to by the larger players.
I see.
So I see an opportunity here for the small and medium steel plants, induction-based steel plants, because you know I don't see any reason why they cannot supply to the infrastructure segment. Like Beriwal ji said, you know, all the products are BIS compliant. We are in a position to produce good quality of 500D, 550D. So you know, with a little bit of modification in the processes, manufacturing processes, and with a little bit of modification in the marketing processes, we should be able to cater to the infrastructure demand. And it's a very large demand which is going to come up over the next 5 to 10 years. So if the industry can shift, our industry, the small and medium sized induction based players can shift the focus from pure real estate, pure housing to housing plus infrastructure, then we would have created a blue ocean for ourselves as an industry, and that will be a great opportunity.
Right.
I would just like to add couple of points in addition to what Mr. Bhandari ji said, since I presume you are at the fag end of your points. As Mr. Bhandari ji has rightly pointed out of, value adding in terms of product mix and your production mix. Another point that is very pertinent for the industry, while we talk about subsidies and all, I believe our industry more than subsidy needs a fair ground. So one fair ground I have already mentioned, being equitable opportunity in terms of selling of our material in government and state government projects. Another is sort of double taxation, which is kind of stifling the growth of our industry. I would say, rather than thinking about incentives or anything like that, if government can provide a level playing field also, and government can consider, see what happens, a ton of finished steel today consumes, a sponge iron or a pig iron today consumes almost 1.5 to 2 tons of iron ore, almost 1.25 to 1.5 tons of coal. We end up paying coal cess, royalty on coal and iron ore. We are paying electricity duty. We are paying all sorts of these taxes. We do not get adjustable against our GST payments, and those are not counted as taxes at all. So on a ton of finished steel, if you count the royalty, coal cess, electricity duty, excise and sale tax paid on fuel, which is still not adjustable against GST, all this turns out to be almost 2 to 2,500 tons of your finished steel, which we have already paid to the government, but which is not adjustable against our GST outflow.
Right.
So if that itself can be counted as adjustable against our GST payments,
Right.
I believe the industry would have got a level playing field.
Right.
Another point, as fellow panelist was talking about, pertinent revival of real estate industry. One more important point, in my personal opinion, is if government can consider doing away with circle rates for next 3 years, or at least rationalization of circle rates. The
Right.
market prices of real estate has come down, but circle rates have remained where it is. Due
Right.
to which due to the legal impact, taxation impact of that, there is a huge impact in demand of real estate. So if all these pertinent bottlenecks are removed rather than incentives and all, that would go a long way in not only boosting steel industry, but to the target industry to which we serve.
Right. That's true.
Also, I would say in some states, the subsidy schemes are still pending to be disbursed by the state governments. I would say one in West Bengal. So, there were certain incentives which are pending to be disbursed. So all these bottlenecks are removed. Definitely it would help the steel industry.
Right. So we have questions coming in from the participants, and I have one here from Mr. Rob Morris, and he's asking, how does the current supply and stock of thermal coal look? Thermal coal, who uses it a lot? Can one of you gentlemen answer this question? So the stock and supply of thermal coal.
There is plenty of amount available in the Coal India, and I foresee कि पूरे साल भर ये अभी कोल में सप्लाई बहुत ही सप्लाई रहनी है. छत्तीसगढ़ में जो कोल हम इम्पोर्टेड कोल, जो स्टील सेक्टर के लिए हम इम्पोर्टेड कोल यूज करते थे फ्रॉम साउथ अफ्रीका, आई डोंट थिंक सो कि वो अभी फॉर दिस कमिंग ईयर उस पर जरूरत पड़नी चाहिए. और यहाँ पे कोल की अवेलेबिलिटी काफी ज्यादा है, तो आई डोंट थिंक सो एनी crisis in the coal.
So we in Gujarat, we are also seeing a very good availability of thermal coal, and there is a good stock available at the two ports, both Adani port and the Mundra port.
Right. I'll take the next question. It is from Devdutt Gokhale. He is from MSP Steel and Power Limited, and he's asking, how do you see demand? What is the demand forecast in the coming 6 months for the retail sector? Do you see drastic benefits through the Prime Minister's slogan, vocal for local, in the steel industry? So retail industry, any of you cater to the retail sector?
So we cater to the retail sectors through our 2,500 all retail outlets. See, the thing is that, in my personal opinion, vocal for local in retail was never an issue for our industry because of not too much imports being happening in rolled products. But the issue here is that how much of the economy going forward is going to create momentum for the jobs, and how much economy is going to recover. That directly or indirectly has an impact on the retail housing demand also. So I personally believe that various steps which have been taken by the government, I have a personal take that it is going to have a positive spin on the retail demand front, at least compared to maybe other sectors. I am more positive on retail than other sectors.
Right. So I have a question here from Jitendra Gupta. He's sending a long question, but just of it, Mr. Jitendra Gupta from MTC Group, he is asking that in the government and the semi-government projects, a lot of the larger players sell their steel. So with the BIS compliance, why is there still inequality in supply to government projects? Mr. Dalmia, can you handle that?
Can you repeat, because my network is not working?
Well, so he's asking why
Can you
the
repeat it, please?
right. So he's saying that most of the government projects give their orders to the large steel players. So he's saying when all of the industry has to have a BIS compliance, then why can't more of your material be sold for government projects?
You see, the government has got a peculiar system of registration and approvals. Earlier, they were only giving to the steel manufactured through blast furnace route. After that, getting approval, some people have been able to get their approvals. But unless everybody is getting approved by the various government authorities, and for smaller player, particularly in MSME sector, steel industry having turnover of 150, they're very small. They're BPL of steel industry. They don't have the resources to get registration in the government department. So it is just a question of how you do it. Because government talks a lot about MSME, but they do not walk their talk in every field. Where Mr. Bhandari has been talking about investment of lakhs of crores in infrastructure. They're just talking. We have to see that these are implemented now.
Right. So I have a question from Mr. TKS.
Can I add a little bit here?
Yes, please.
So if like he rightly said, this entire government buying is a approval based process, and what we are seeing over the last 3 to 5 years, as a company, we are also transiting from housing and real estate to housing, real estate and projects and infrastructure. What we are seeing is more and more approvals are coming through. So if you are able to demonstrate that you have the right processes and the systems to produce right quality, including desulfurization, dephosphorization and things like that, especially if you are going through the iron ore route, then more and more approvals are coming in and you will be able to supply more. What we have seen is that, our ratio changing from almost about 10% into infrastructure to about 50% in infrastructure now. Of the total sales, almost 50% goes into infrastructure and large projects which are government driven.
I would just further like to add, this being a very important point. See, we have been also catering to the big projects like NTPC, National Highway, Railways, and all these projects over the years. We have gone through the process in various decades. But the real problem here, my personal take on this is, when there is a common steel quality control order applicable to all manufacturing units, why should small and medium sized manufacturers required to go door to door to take the approval? This is my personal opinion. Today, if you have a SAIL or a Tata, they are by default approved in all the projects. Whereas a small and medium sized manufacturer, be it Electrotherm, be it Real Ispat, be it SRMB, be it Kalika, they need to approach the particular concerned authority, demonstrate their capability again and again, and get the approval. So even if you are approved, even if you have serviced 100 NHAI projects before, for the upcoming 100 projects, again you have to get the approval. So so if you have demonstrated in one project, you should be by default approved in all the projects. And when there is by law mandated a single quality control order, quality applicable to all. So my personal take is, this is not a correct approach. The industry should not be asked to go again and again to all customers and demonstrate their capability.
Right. That's a point
There
to
should
note.
be approval by default.
Right. Okay, I'll bring in the next question. Next person who is... Well, do you think you can answer this question?
I could not hear what was said.
I actually asked Mr. Sudhir Goyal. So it's about Mr. Vaidyanathan from Inca Group is asking, do you think in rural India there will be good growth in terms of housing and infrastructure, given the fact that migrant laborers have moved back? Mr. Sudhir Goyal, can you take the question? And you need to unmute yourself, please.
I'm little skeptical about that. Because, I believe that this is a short-term phenomena that migrant labor has shifted to their native place. This is a short-term phenomena. So we cannot predict that rural demand will check up with this phenomenon only. Yes, rural demand is there. Rural demand has to pick up, but not with this phenomenon. Otherwise, rural demand has to be picked up. Definitely.
Do you think the recovery might come from this sector, first of all, given that a lot of the incentives have been targeted at rural India? Mr. Ghanshyam Goyal, what do you think about that? कि सबसे पहले recovery क्या rural sector से आएगी और construction sector से?
Rural से आएगी पहले. Rural में government का भी काफी उन्होंने प्रोजेक्शंस किए हैं, करीब करीब मेरे ख्याल से 1 लाख करोड़ का फंड भी उन्होंने वहाँ दिया है। और मोस्ट ऑफ द मेजर सिटीज जैसा महाराष्ट्र में हम देखेंगे तो दे आर इन रेड जोन, और वहाँ की मार्केट भी ओपन नहीं हुई है। बाकी जहाँ रूरल एरियाज में सब मार्केट शुरू हो गई है तो वहाँ सेल पिकअप हो।
एक टेक्निकल क्वेश्चन है फ्रॉम मिस्टर TKS Shroff, and he's asking power consumption, how much is the power consumption per ton of the steel you make, and is this changing as technology improves? So can Mr. Kalpesh Agarwal, can you answer this question?
Madam, as far as power consumption is changes on basis of the raw material which you're using. If a given point you're using more of scrap, the power consumption will be less. If you're using more of sponge iron, the power consumption will be more.
Right. And then,
yeah.
Right. And there's another question from Manav Bansal. He's asking, do you think the induction furnace segment will switch to imported scrap or recycled scrap from auto scrappage policy of the government as compared?
Pardon? Come again?
In your factory. So what do you think? Do you think things are changing for the raw material availability? There will be a scrap policy.
The scrappage policy has not yet come yet. We are waiting for the policy to come. If the policy comes, definitely the local generation of scrap will be more. And we will be doing less of imports.
Right.
And in fact, if this policy comes, that will be a big revival for the auto industry, and it will be generate a lot of manpower, a lot of labor issues will be sorted out. I mean, this policy is the need of the hour now.
Right.
That's the only way to generate that demand in the Indian industry.
Right. Okay. So another question is on a very sensitive issue. It is on cartelization. So this is a question coming from someone saying cartelization is there amongst Chhattisgarh producers. Is it true that the industry gets together and set the prices and everyone is talking to everyone and that they decide on the floor price informally?
Not at all. There are hundreds of industries in the Chhattisgarh. How can they cartelize amongst all? Cartelization होती है सिर्फ जब 5-7 लोग रहते हैं तो cartelization possible है. Hundreds of industries की cartelization possible नहीं है. वैसे भी steel industry में cartelization is not possible at all. ये तो demand and supply के हिसाब से rates जो हैं plus या minus.
जी हाँ. There's one question from Saint Gobain official. Name is not there, but that's the company, asking how is the scenario for silico manganese market and silica refractory. Is this something you deal with?
Silico manganese is consumed in our furnaces. So the prospect of silico manganese is directly correlated to the production utilization level of the industry and the growth of the industry. So going forward, as the utilization level of the industry will improve, the silico manganese demand would also improve.
I see. There's one question from Saurav Jain. He's asking I6 effect on, he's asking about I6 effect on billet prices, which is more of a speculative area than hedging. Hence, the question is on how can we fight out I6 going forward? And this gentleman is from Kolkata. Company name is not given. So I6, anybody has a view on this? Mr. Yes, Mr. Agarwal.
Yeah. I6 is very much a major concern for the rates of और I6 का जो rates पे daily speculation होता है और hedging होती है उसका direct impact स्टील इंडस्ट्री पे आता है कि फ्यूचर ट्रेडिंग में क्या होना है, उसमें रेट्स कहाँ जा रहे हैं. फॉल्स मार्केट ऐसा जनरेट होता है. तो आज से 5-6 साल पहले भी NCDX करके एक ट्रेडिंग स्टॉक होता था, बट बिकॉज ऑफ सम टेक्निकल डिफॉल्ट के कारण उसे रोक दिया गया था गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा. बट अभी ICX चालू है जिसका बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट जो है रेट्स पे आता है, which steel industry doesn't suit at all.
I'd like to add something.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll ask the next question. It is a fairly common question. This is, do you intend to buy domestic scrap or choose to import? And the questions are pointing out to a ban by UAE on, it's a suspension, not a ban, of scrap export for 4 months. So Mr. Ghanshyam Goyal, please इस सवाल का जवाब दीजिए. यूएई ने जो 4 महीने के लिए बैन लगाया है स्क्रैप एक्सपोर्ट पे, उसका क्या असर पड़ेगा मार्केट में? कोई नए सोर्स आपको ढूंढने पड़ेंगे?
नहीं, अभी तो डोमेस्टिक मार्केट से मिल सकता है, सब चालू हो गई तो डोमेस्टिक मार्केट मिल जाएगा. और स्क्रैप अपने यहाँ भी अगर पॉलिसी आ गई गवर्नमेंट की रिसाइकलिंग की, वो भी अपने लिए सपोर्ट करेंगे.
Okay. So I will ask one question to Mr. Bhandari, and this is a fairly common question. Many of the participants have been asking. With the current crisis of workmen, of laborers, is there any inquiry you're seeing for automation? Does Electrotherm do automation of plants? I know you sell the technology, but
Yes.
are you seeing inquiries for automation?
Yes.
And what are you saying to people who are asking you about?
No, we'll provide. Electrotherm has the right technologies to help companies improve productivity through automation, and we are absolutely ready. And as an organization, we will do whatever best is possible and whatever is needed by the industry to make them more productive in these labor shortage times.
Can you give us some example of the cost of automating a plant? Let's say a 0.2 million ton induction furnace based plant. How much?
So it's fairly complex. It's fairly complex, and it involves a lot of technical discussions and a lot of different, because it depends on what you want to automate. But I use this platform to convey to all that they can get in touch with our sales team, and we'll help them out with whatever their automation needs are, whether it's with respect to induction or charging or scrap processing or whatever.
No prices, for a,
very difficult
for
to
a sample.
Yeah, very, very difficult to spell out the prices here.
All right. Okay. Fine.
Ruchira, I would like to add.
Yes, Mr. Dalmia.
And all of us are reworking our working style. Like I'm a very small producer. In our induction furnace, we are achieving about 75-77% load factor. And what we have done during these days, we are operating at 95 to 98% load factor in our induction furnaces. And it is small innovation, you can say, rather in the software. It has not cost us anything. And the load factor in my induction furnace has gone, which will have at least impact of 300 to 400 rupees per ton of my instruments.
Okay.
So all of us are trying. I think we have to just innovate.
Okay, that's quite amazing. So innovation really is, the time of.
Yeah, because we have to take out the work from the manual to automation.
Right. So anyone else? What about Mr. Sudhir Goyal? Are you considering automating your plant so that the labor issues diminish in future? Mr. Sudhir Goyal?
Sorry?
Are you considering automating your plants so that you can cut down on the labor issues?
We have already got fair levels of automation. Yes, we are working on that to whatever extent, as Mr. Bhandari has rightly said, that this kind of thing. First of all, you have to define, you have to identify where you can put up right kind of automation.
Right.
Welcome at our plant.
Okay, so I have a question from Mr. Ashutosh Goyal, who is asking the scenario of the mild steel pipes and structural. I suppose he's referring to availability and prices. So the person who makes pipes, I think Mr. Bhandari, you manufacture pipes. So could you just give an idea about the price?
We don't make MS pipes. We make ductile pipes, and that's a completely different ballgame.
I see. So anybody here who makes mild steel pipes? And
No.
can you answer Ashutosh Goel's question?
Yeah, what is the question?
Question is, what is the scenario? I suppose he means the availability of mild steel pipes and structural steels.
Availability is definitely availability is there. Availability is not an issue of my right now in our area, in our part of the world.
Is the price trend similar? Is it a rising price
Prices
trend
are-
even for this?
No. It's different in pipes as we make pipes from primary grade HR coils. Primary grade HR coils has reverse pricing scenario. It's in little downtrend. Whatever pre-COVID prices were there, now prices are little down for HR coil.
I see. One question for Mr. Bhandari. This is being asked by some participants. So what is the order book for induction furnaces? Not just India, but also India's neighborhood. Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, all are growing. So at this point, how does the order book stand?
So pre-COVID and post-COVID situations are very, very different. We were seeing some good demand before pre-COVID, and we will have to wait and see how things shape up over the next 3 to 6 months to exactly say what is going to be the demand for the induction furnaces, not steel, but the induction furnaces. But we hope that, since, like I said in the very beginning, we are extremely bullish on the demand scenario panning out over the 6 to 12 months period. And therefore, we see a sizable demand for induction furnace also happening over the 6 to 12 month period.
Right. I have another question, which is coming from Vibhor Mittal from STIPL, Uttarakhand. He's asking if cheaper electricity rates in Jindal Power is killing induction furnaces in the north. Mr. Sudhir Goel, do you have any awareness about this? He's pointing out to cheaper electricity rates from Jindal Park, which is hurting induction furnaces in north of India.
No, I don't believe that. Because there is too much geographical difference. So I don't believe that.
You don't think that's true? All right. One question which I can spot over here, which has now disappeared, is about, can you give a forecast for how much will the production be at the end of this fiscal year coming from the induction furnace routes? So, Mr. Kalpesh Agarwal, any forecast for the whole of the industry?
Again, it depends upon the government spending. If the government spending is good, we can do almost 70 to 80% of last year's projections. If the government spending in infra is bad, we can end up maximum 50%. Because you see, the builders sector demand will be going to be very bad, and what the support we can get only from government projects.
So I am of a very firm view that the demand from the government sector, the infrastructure sector will be very high, and we will start seeing that happening very, very shortly. And therefore, you could look at a 70, 80% of the last year very easily.
Right. So on that note, I think I would like to conclude this webinar, unless any one of you has anything to say which has not been covered. Just one last 1 minute.
Ma'am, we would like the government to take up this migrant labor issue, being the whatever the guidelines they have issued for COVID, if they relax it as fast as can. Because even if the train services are started, even let's say next month the migrant labor returns, there might be home quarantine. Government should take some steps to make this movement of district, interstate as fast as possible. Otherwise, everyone will be doomed. Because once you go back to your hometown, then it takes minimum 4 months for them to come back. If they remove the restrictions and do something else, because now we have to live with this COVID. Whether you like it or not, it's going to be with you for a couple of years or whatever it is. The government has to try to really make this thing so that the people who have gone back, they can come back in a month's time or 1.5 months. If they take 4 months, then it will be very difficult for everyone to survive, because we are linked with government project. We don't have people for production. There is no laborers in the dealers level for unloading and sorting. There is no migrant laborers in the construction site. Whole industry will be switched off. So this is a major issue. I think that the government should take care and they should do something as fast as possible.
All right. So my concluding question, we'll do a quick round since we have a couple of minutes, is what are the new trends you see? नया क्या दिखने वाला है FY21 में, इस साल में, कोरोना वायरस पैंडेमिक के बाद? 2 पॉइंट्स दीजिए, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम मिस्टर घनश्याम गोयल. जो नए ट्रेंड्स हैं जो प्रोडक्शन में, मार्केट में, 2 पॉइंट्स दीजिए हमें. मिस्टर गोयल, मिस्टर घनश्याम गोयल, 2 ट्रेंड्स.
डिमांड कैन राइज हो सकता है.
ओके, डिमांड कैन राइज. मार्केट में क्या ट्रेंड दिखने वाला, कुछ नया जो
डिफिकल्ट.
अभी तो वर्क फ्रॉम होम ही दिख रहा है.
So if I can add one related to COVID and one not related to COVID.
Yes, please.
One related to COVID is the need for automation. The matter was discussed earlier, but we feel that there will be a serious need for automation, and that will be a trend. And second, independent of COVID, there is already happening, and there will be a bigger shift towards more sophisticated grades like 500D and 550D. And demand coming from the infrastructure segment.
Right. Just want to add what Bhandari ji has told in the bigger picture. So the new thing is manufacturers will look at rationalize, more efficiency in production, rationalization of cost to achieve a greater scale of efficiencies, so that they are more competitive. Also value add in terms of your product mix. So it can be through franchising, branding, it can be through superior quality of steel. So a mix of both, a better revenue realization and reduction in cost.
Right. Mr. Kalpesh Agarwal, 2 new trends that you'll see post the coronavirus pandemic in your sector.
In my
probably
sector,
the way forward for the industry.
For the whole of the steel industry, any 2 trends that you foresee?
Madam, right now, as far as modernization, I think our plant is totally modernized plant. We need, in our manufacturing process, hardly we have 8 to 10 people. So, but our core of the labor requirement is the bending and loading. That is the main issue. That I don't think that we are doing modernization. That has been happening. We have started already 1 year back. But the problem is in India, if you see the sales level, if you talk about this, all shopkeepers, they have a small warehouses. They don't have any mechanization. So they have to think, and if they do mechanization, then we can come out of this labor problem very fast, because they have to unload it by manual.
Right. So mechanization could be one trend.
Yes. So it has. As far as projects are concerned, for me, even dispatching 2,000 tons per day is not difficult.
Right.
On a straight bar metal, we can do it. But when you give it to the dealer, it's all bent metal. That's where the challenge is.
Right. Mr. Dalmia, 2 new trends that you foresee post the coronavirus pandemic.
I will not go for the trends. What I will say is we Indian entrepreneurs are expert in hurdles. We cross all the hurdles very successfully. And this pandemic has been a hurdle, and we all are going successfully out of it. We will come out stronger.
And one trend you already pointed out.
Yeah. The trend is going to be, people are going to invest money. They are going to spend money now. Like migrant laborers who are going back to their houses. People have realized the value of their homestay. Somebody staying in Mumbai, now he feels he has to go back to Bihar. Now he is definitely going to build a house there. And with Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, the money is available.
Right.
Demand from rural sector.
Right. So innovation at the shop floor and rural sector growth. These are some of the new trends being pointed out. Mr. Sudhir Goyal, 2 new trends?
I think that the unnecessary travel will be cut down with the help of this new avatar of meetings. This is one, and another cutting down of unskilled labor cost with the help of more and more automations.
Right. Cost cutting and work from home, which is here to stay, looks like.
Not work
And
from home, it is about cutting the unnecessary travel.
okay, that's another way of looking at it. That's good. And Mr. Ramesh Agarwal, yourself, two new trends.
The role of government and RBI, actually the lower interest rate and the flooding of liquidity, these two things boost the real estate sector and infrastructure. ये जो है जो डिमांड को एक क्रिएट कर सकता है जो इंडस्ट्री को बूस्ट कर सकता है. Second is a new way style of working. Definitely kind of automation and all this the two new way of working actually.
Right. So on that note, I'd like to conclude this webinar, and I'd like to thank all of the panelists. Thank you very much for all your tips and for all your trends and for all the knowledge that you have shared with us today. Thank you. Hope
Thank
you all.
you for the invite.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Bye,
And-
everybody. Thank you.
Goodbye. And also, I'd like to thank all of the participants who have been with us today. Thank you very much for registering. And I'd like to tell you that you can watch a recording, an edited recording of this webinar, which will be loaded on YouTube, and it'll be notified to you. So if any of your friends have missed it and they want to catch what was discussed, you could look out for that. And also for future, do look out for more podcasts and webinars, which will be coming to you from the SteelMint Events Group. So on behalf of all of us here at the SteelMint Events Group, I'd like to say thank you and best wishes to all of you. Panelists and